Hey guys, thank you for joining me today. My name is Dr. Tom LaHue, and today we're going to be talking about the Enneagram checklist for Type 3s. This is coming from Beatrice Chestnut's new book, The Enneagram Guide to Waking Up. Fantastic book. So before we get started, just a reminder that in my description below is a link to my website, tomlahue.com, where you can book Enneagram coaching appointments if you want to know more about your personality or how to be more balanced, get along with other people. And also there is a link on my website to certificate programs. If you're interested in learning Enneagram coaching, you want to be a coach or you want to improve your ability to connect with others, I'd love for you to go through the Enneagram certification, also the coaching certification, or the Enneagram relationship coaching, or the Enneagram in the Christian life coaching if you want to talk about how we hide our true selves behind our false selves. That's a great certificate program as well. Thanks again to my patrons on Patreon. I really appreciate your support. I know you don't have to do it, and I really appreciate your encouragement. Let's get started today on Enneagram Type 3. And let me start by saying, if you are a Type 3, I'm so glad that you are watching this video. I am so glad that you are learning about the Enneagram. I am so proud of you for slowing down to really look at what success really is and what it's not. And taking the time to really know yourself and getting to know yourself can be a real struggle for Type 3s. It can be hard for you to see the value in doing this kind of work. Your personality is wired to do what it takes, to do whatever is necessary, to be the best version of yourself, but sometimes that is at the expense of really slowing down and knowing yourself and questioning, why am I so compelled to do so much? And the Enneagram is a great tool to help you, Type 3, to help you slow down and really think about what you want in life, and are you really going toward the goals that'll be most important to you? Or have you just sort of settled for doing what it takes to be admired, to be appreciated, and to receive admiration and applause from the fans surrounding you, from the audience around you? Okay, so let's start with some hot chocolate. Let's start with that. Let's start with at the beginning of each one of her chapters in this book, she tells a story of what it may have been like for you as a child. And so it's just an interesting kind of fictional account of what it might have felt like growing up as a young person who is a Type 3. Now, admittedly, I don't have a lot of 3s in my life. Of course, I've known some people that are Type 3, and I've had a lot of conversations with them, friends of mine, but I don't have very many of them in my life. And I've had a lot of appointments with 3s, not as many as I would like, because 3s sometimes have a hard time doing this kind of work. 3s sometimes make appointments thinking, okay, Dr. Tom, help me figure out how to be the best version of myself, how to be even more productive, how to be even more successful in life. And really, the Enneagram kind of isn't designed to do that. It's designed to ask you, how are you defining success? And why are you so compelled? Why are you so impulsed? And what if you could relax that impulse to always be successful a little bit? Maybe you could have a little more energy for other things in life, like showing up fully to relationships, or knowing your own emotions, or discovering what you really want in life, or knowing your authentic self, knowing more about what you really care about, not what will get you the approval and applause of others. And the Enneagram can be a real challenge to Type 3s because it forces you to ask some deeper questions. And that's going to cause you to have to slow down, and slowing down is not something most 3s are very comfortable with. It feels like we could be productive. Why are we running our engine here in idle and navel gazing when we could be getting those goals and accomplishing those goals? So this can be really challenging work for 3s. And I want to tell you how glad I am that you are doing this kind of work, and how important it is that you, every once in a while, slow down to really think about the things that we're going to discuss in this video. Okay, so she calls it the path from self-deceit to veracity. And of course, in veracity, I think of that idea of truthfulness, of being honest with yourself. Because I get it that the sin of the three is deceit. I don't think that most threes are trying to deceive people. It's not like you're trying to lie about who you are, or, you know, directly lie and pretend to be something you're not. I think it's more of an unconscious movement of yours to just become what other people admire, to become what other people want you to be, and then to kind of forget that that isn't necessarily who you are. That version of yourself that is so charming and so likable and so productive, that is sort of like a persona or a mask that has been put on. And we want to get to ask the question, like, who's this person underneath? If it wasn't so important to me to be perceived in such a way, who would I be? What would I be doing? What would I care about? If I didn't need to care about all these things that I care about, what would I care about? What would I be doing if I wasn't doing what it took to be so successful and to be so daggone likable? Okay, so from self-deceit, because I think we start to believe the lies about ourselves. We start to believe the labels that we wear, that makes us into who we are. Okay, so once upon a time, there was a person named 3 who came into this world as a natural, emotional child, wanting to connect with others, knowing themselves and knowing what they wanted to do and what they wanted to be, completely true and sweet and emotional, but came in with this very pure, authentic heart that wanted so desperately to connect and relate to others, that wanted to be in close connection with others, wanted to show up and wanted to be loved and wanted to love others. Now, early in life, 3 kind of got the message that they were appreciated not for who they are, that who they are is not enough, that they had to do something. And they learned that they were appreciated for what they did. They learned that people approved of them when they could sing, or when they could play an instrument, or when they did well in sports, or when they came home with good grades. When they produced results, the 3 was reinforced with a message of value and honor and approval. And so the 3 started to realize that if I do these certain things, if I show up and I present in this way with this audience, I will receive something I desperately need, which is the approval of other people. And you know, you might stop for a second and question that a little bit, like poke on that a little bit and say, why do I so desperately feel I need this approval from other people? That I feel like I need other people to value me. And it's because 3s are right in the center of that worth and value group. You know, we're no longer in the Garden of Eden. And so the intrinsic value that we have we become blind to that. And we start thinking that we have to do something, or we have to prove our value in some way, or we have to be unique and different than other people. And 3s are very unique and different and special in all that they can accomplish and all that they could do, and how beautiful and wonderful and likable and charming they are. They set themselves apart from the competition. They literally outpace and outperform others and communicate, I'm not like other people. I'm different. And that makes me valuable. And that makes me special. And so you might poke on that a little bit. Like, why do I sense this need for value and to prove my value so strongly? You mean other people, other types aren't driven to prove their worth and value? What must it be like to be in someone else's shoes? What must it be like to be one of those people that just assumes that they have value already? What if it could relax a little bit in your life? What if that need to prove and achieve and show your value and present your value, what if that could relax a little bit? Would you still work these 16-hour days? Would you still work so hard to learn and read and become all that you could be? Would you still push this need to be successful? What if you defined success differently? You know, there's one thing, it's one thing to have great success. It's one thing to push yourself and to have such a strong work ethic but it's another thing to be a person of depth. And that might be something worth investigating. Like, what are my goals here for becoming a person of depth? Not just a person that can perform, not just a person that can achieve, not just a person that is to be admired. Do I admire myself? What would I admire about myself? So the three got the message early on that people were very excited and very happy when you performed. People were very excited and very happy when you didn't show negative emotions. If you got upset, or if you got sad, or if you got tired, people didn't necessarily still want to be around you. They didn't necessarily find value in that. And so you learned early on that maybe it's better not to express my true heart. Maybe it's better not to express my real feelings, because when I do that, it seems like other people might not know how to relate to that. People seem to like you when you accomplished things, but they acted as if you didn't exist if you were just being yourself. If you were just being yourself, if you were showing up in a more relaxed state, and you weren't performing for the audience, it seemed like people really didn't care. Like people weren't really available to you, or they weren't really proud of you, or they weren't really embracing you. So three found a way to make sure they would never feel alone or never feel fearful anymore. That you had this unique ability, like a radar. We all have a radar. All of us have a radar system that picks up different things. And three developed or just realized they had this radar system that sort of picked up on what people admired, what people wanted you to be, and how you could please them, how you could show up in a way that would be what people valued. And you could kind of magically turn yourself into what people approved of, and what people expected, and what people wanted. Now, this is what some people might refer to as shape-shifting, or being like a chameleon. You might say that you're adaptable, that you can just adapt into any environment, that you can adapt yourself into any environment, and you just kind of inherently know what needs to be done in order to accomplish the goals, in order to make the sale, in order to present yourself in a way that will accomplish the best results. So this superpower of being able to become what people want you to become, to change your appearance, to fit in, to not be overlooked. The fear of failure, yes, but also the fear of just being unrecognized. The fear of being dissolved, as though you don't matter, as though you're just a part of the universe, as though you don't stand out in any realistic way. So as the three grew, they came to see that others admired your success and your achievement. By the way, we will get into the checklist. The checklist is right there, but I'm kind of just going back through her presentation of what it must have been like to grow up. We will go through the checklist. We'll get there. Okay, the ability to become what you needed to become, to be adaptable to any situation, brought you a lot of rewards in life. It makes you successful. you succeed at being successful, and you can attract positive attention. In fact, threes probably would be very interested in the law of attraction. And so if I present myself in this way, I tend to attract that into my life. And if I want to attract more success and I want to attract more achievement and more accomplishment, then I must present that in the world. And threes have this unique ability, this radar, to know what any given group or any given compartment of my life would admire and approve of, and then become that and attract that positive attention. Again, what if you didn't need that positive attention so desperately? What if you didn't need that sense of your worth reinforced from others? What if you had a strong sense of worth already internally, and it wasn't necessary to provide that externally like a scaffold around you? What if that was internal? It could relax. This need to prove your worth could relax a little bit. And if you didn't need to prove your worth and value so much to others by all that you do and by how charming and beautiful and wonderful you are, then where would you focus your attention? Perhaps there are areas of your life, whole compartments, whole areas of your life that have been neglected, because maybe you haven't been so successful in those areas. Think, for example, in your family life, or in your marriage, or in your community involvement, or in your spiritual life. There may be whole areas that have kind of been shut off from you that you haven't seen, haven't been given a lot of attention, because you just don't see it helping you be productive in order to get what you really want, which is the approval and admiration and that sense of worth and value that others provide for you. But what if you could see past that a little bit? That's where the Enneagram, I think, is really helpful in pushing us, poking us, prodding us. It's not always easy. In fact, it's often very painful. But threes are good at, doing what it's necessary. So let's continue on. Willing to do whatever it took to create a really convincing image of what other people valued. In fact, three was so good at being successful, they found they couldn't stop. Like a runaway train. They found they couldn't stop shifting their appearance in order to produce results and promote their success. What would happen if I stopped? I wouldn't get the feedback from other people. I wouldn't receive their admiration. I wouldn't feel like I was a person of worth accomplishing so much. What would I be? I would just dissolve and disintegrate. What would happen to me if I didn't feel like I was a person of worth, if I didn't receive that approval and appreciation and admiration and attention from others? As time went on, three totally lost themselves to who they really are beneath all of these external images they had created, all of these personas they had created. I've said before in videos about threes that sometimes, the image that comes to mind when I think about type 3 is the chocolate Easter bunny. When you walk through the store and you see at Easter time all of these beautiful, shiny, highly polished, smiling Easter bunnies holding their carrots in these brightly pink wrapped packages, these cellophane wrapped packages, you think, wow, those Easter bunnies, they're so adorable, they're so cute. And then when you purchase the Easter bunny and take it home, and as a child you open it, it feels quite hollow. It feels empty inside. And then you break it open to realize it is hollow. It is empty inside. It's not near as deep as you thought it would be. And threes can kind of be like this. Always working on that external image. Always focused on how they're coming across, on how they're presenting themselves, but not very focused on what's inside and on developing that depth inside. Why work on that? Why fuss with that? That's not what people see. And so again, this is why I think sometimes it's hard for threes to really focus in and move in deep with the Enneagram or any spiritual discipline, because that's not what people see. They don't see that internal work. They see and applaud and approve of results, the external results. We need to build a building. We need to start new programs. We need to get those numbers up. All of those external results, that's what people recognize, and that's what people contribute to, and that's what gets people excited, and that's what wins people's admiration and approval. Spending an hour or a day or a weekend in deep reflection and in contemplation, meditation or prayer or study, that doesn't necessarily get you results externally. If you want to feel good about your yard, go cut the grass. When you cut the grass and trim everything, you step back away from it and you say, it looks so much better. It looks so much better now. And sometimes we can become very addicted to those immediate results. But what if you, for example, instead fertilized your yard? And so you go to the store and you spend hard-earned money on fertilizer, and you put on your gloves and you walk around your yard and spread this fertilizer. You might not see any results from that fertilizer until the second or third application. It may take a week or weeks before you really see the improvement in the yard. And it can be difficult when doing those kinds of projects, especially in our own souls or in our own lives, if we don't see immediate results. We can become very addicted to seeing immediate results, immediate accomplishments for our effort. But the deeper things of life are often done without seeing those immediate external results. And this can sometimes be a blind spot to threes. Okay, so threes became really good at doing a lot of work on mostly that external self. And, realize this. You get constant reinforcement from society when you're working on the external self. When you are polishing up that exterior, when you are being so likable and so successful, that's what everyone's applauding. So why wouldn't you continue doing what everyone's applauding? It's going to be difficult for you to see the value in doing what people are not applauding, in doing deeper spiritual work, deeper soul work, deeper person work. That is not going to get you the immediate results that you might be used to in life. To take a deep breath, for example, to take a deep breath and say, who am I when no one around me is telling me what I should be? Who am I? What do I care about? What I find is that in many ways, threes often don't know themselves any better than nines. Nines can see the perspectives of everyone else and often lose their own perspective. And sometimes I think threes, because they have that line to nine maybe, threes sometimes they have accomplished a lot. They have succeeded in all things they've tried. And my thought just clicks for a minute, because if they felt like they were going to fail at it, then maybe they didn't even try. There's kind of a dark secret of threes. If they felt like they couldn't be successful, they probably quit. They probably didn't continue on because their fear of failure is so great that why would I continue on in something that I don't think I could succeed at, even if it's what it's needed, even if it's what would be the most useful for me. If I can't succeed at it, then why would I continue on? Threes sometimes may not know themselves outside of the context they're in and the information that's coming back to them that's being reflected. Like sonar, they beep out to find out what other people think they should be, and then they hear that message back and they become that. But when they get to the top of the ladder, they may realize that they've given their lives you've given your life to something that you don't really even care about. So why would you give your life to this? Well, it got you immediate results. It got you the approval that you wanted, or the appreciation, or the admiration, or that feeling of worth and value because you moved up the ladder and you proved yourself. But do you really care about this company you work for? See, that's a tough question. Do you really believe in the mission of this company that you are giving so much time and attention to? Does it resonate with you? Does it really add value to you? Or have you just trapped yourself in this need to prove your worth and value by becoming supervisor, district supervisor, manager, district manager, vice president, president, CEO? It's just pushing yourself through a bunch of hoops in an organization that you really don't care about. Other people might look at that and say, why would you do that? Why would you give your life to something that you don't really care about? But see, you do care. You care about the next result. You care about the next promotion. You care about the next stage goal in your journey. Okay, where are we? 3 survival strategies worked so well they never had the time to ask themselves, who am I really? What do I really care about? What's really important to me? Couldn't imagine what would happen if I stopped. There's too many rewards if I keep going. Money, titles, applause, and attention. I can't give that up. To really think about what I want to do with my life, to really think about what needs to really improve in my life. If I slow down and I stop what I'm doing, then I won't get the feedback, I won't get the rewards, I won't get the sense of value confirmed through money and applause and attention and approval and admiration. I mean, I'll lose myself, but it feels great to be propped up by everyone else's sense of my value and worth. Wow. One morning, 3 couldn't get out of bed. Why? What happened? One morning, 3 crashed. They just kind of went dark and said, what am I doing? Why am I doing all this? Why can't I get motivated? Why can't I get excited about this anymore? And so for maybe 2 weeks, you pulled the blinds down on your window and you turned on Netflix, and 3, when they're not doing very well, could look like a 9, could look detached away from life, withdrawn, geographically present, but no motivation and not really focused on any goals. And this was a terrible time for you. You felt awful. You felt like you were just lethargic and broken. Maybe during that time you abused medications or alcohol or some kind of substance to try to just numb out and narcotize yourself, which is an attribute of 9s. And you just tried to find any kind of motivation to get out of bed. Maybe you didn't even shower or get changed or brush your teeth or put on new clothes in the morning. You just zoned out, blacked out, went dark, and you're terrified that that could happen again. But then at some point you rallied yourself. You slapped yourself and you said, come on, now I got to get up and I got to get back and I got to get motivated. And maybe you watched a video series or went back through a course or read a book and you shook off this state of depression that you were in. And oh, it felt so good to get back in the game, to get back on target, to get back on track, to set those goals again, to get reignited, get reinvigorated. And you considered yourself to be very healthy because you shook off this depression, you shook off this darkness, and you got back in the game. And it felt good to get back in the game. And so you never really went back to that moment in life and said, why did that happen? Why did I get so dark and discouraged? Why did it feel so good to get back in the game? Perhaps if you could think about it for a moment, and really like let yourself just consider it for a while, maybe one of the reasons somewhere in there that you got discouraged and went dark for a while is you started asking yourself some good questions. Uncomfortable questions, painful questions, but questions that challenged all that you were doing. And when you let the impulses drive you again, it felt comfortable. But realize you have the impulse to win, to push yourself, to stretch yourself, to accomplish, to be successful, to get things done. And that's a great impulse. It's a great impulse to have. No one is telling you it's a bad impulse. But here's the reality is sometimes that impulse works for you, but sometimes all of us, the impulses that drive our behaviors, they don't always work for us. Sometimes they work against us in life. Let me give you an example of what I mean. Suppose you were to sit down and you were to get out a pencil and a paper, if you can even find a pencil and paper anymore in this day and age. If you were to find a pen and paper or pencil and a paper, and you were to write down the 10 goals you have for your life, which is probably something you've done as a 3. Maybe you've done it many times. But if you were to write down the 10 goals you have for your life, my guess is the things you came up with and wrote down would probably be very similar to every other person, every other personality type. It might be a little bit nuanced, but mostly we would all agree on these 10 basic goals. It would be things like, I want to live relatively healthy life, relatively pain-free. I want to take care of myself and exercise and eat healthy so that I can be as healthy and live as long as possible. I want to have good relationships with the people around me. I want to have a loving marriage. I want to relate well to my children or to my family members. I want to do the best work I can do and do something meaningful with my life that I think makes a difference, that I think, benefits society in some way. I want to do the most I can with the time that I have to do something important with my life. I want to have hobbies and interests that I enjoy. I want to, and just think about what you would write down, and maybe you want to pause the video and even do that. But I just want you to consider something. If you were to write down these 10 goals you have for your life about what you would envision to having a happy, joyous, loving, best life possible. And then if I were to watch any type, but let's stay on 3s. If I were to watch you in your daily behavior, how you actually work and how you actually live and how you actually make decisions, driven by your impulses as a 3, compelled by your impulses as a 3. At any given time of the day, I might find you doing things that seem absolutely right to you, driven by your impulses as a 3, that don't really correspond to your stated goals. In other words, for example, you said in your goals that you wanted to have a loving marriage where you both showed up to care for each other, to know each other, to have intimacy with each other, to have this loving relationship with your kids where you interact in positive ways and are available to each other. Yet, when I look at your daily behavior, how much time, for example, would I see you investing real energy in showing up for your family? I might see you working 14-hour days at work. And then when I see you at home, I might not really see you being intimate, because to be intimate, you have to reveal yourself. You have to open up yourself and be known. You have to be open and honest in order to be intimate. But I might not really see you being open and honest. I might see you being guarded and protective and careful and strategic in how you're relating to the people in your family, because you don't want conflict. You don't want problems. You don't want to have those kinds of failures in your home or in your life. And so I might see you driven by your impulses at any given point in life in conflict with the stated goals that you have for yourself. You want to do something meaningful with your life. Okay, is what you're doing meaningful? Now, I don't mean does what you do make a lot of money, or does what you do make you successful, or is what you're doing give you the applause and admiration and approval of others? Is what you're doing with your life, your job, for example, are you doing something every day that you are passionate about? That if the company you worked for shut down, do you feel like there would be a gaping hole in society now? Like, I don't know how our community would go on. If our product wasn't available anymore, it would leave a devastating hole in society. Or have you gotten more focused on how to become regional manager, to care what product you're even making? Has it ever occurred to you that you are giving your life to this corporation, or to this job, or to this career? Are you so passionate about what you're doing that you would do it even if you could not be regional manager? If you reach the top, there's a good question. If you reach the top and you couldn't be promoted any longer, would you continue doing what you're doing because you feel that strongly about it? Good questions. Maybe you've already thought through all of this. If you have, fantastic. That's great. If you haven't, maybe you've never even thought like this before. And the Enneagram is pushing on you to challenge you. After all, think you're a 3 with a 4 wing. What do 4s care about? 4s care about being authentic to themselves. That's good for you as a 3 to stop and ask yourself some of those 4 questions. And 2, you have a 2 wing, which says, I need to care a little bit less about the goals I have for myself and the projects I'm working on, and I need to care more about the people, the relationships. I need to work on connecting a little more with the people, not just the strategic goals that I have for myself. I'm a human, and I work with other humans, and I relate to other humans, and I need to care about other humans. I need to get the spotlight off of me a little bit and onto them and what they need. Okay. Where are we? Wow. I still haven't gotten to the checklist. We're 38 minutes in, and we're going to get there, hopefully. Okay, so back to your busy schedule. And then she ends that little section with, the 3 had become a zombie. A very successful, attractive, and impressive zombie, but a zombie just the same. You know what a zombie is I'm alive, but I'm not really alive. I'm not really connected to my center. I'm not really connected with who I am. I'm sort of living this life. I'm living this life that is driven by my impulses and by my compulsions. And I want to push back now on those impulses. 3s. Can you imagine how ridiculous it would be if a 7 made an appointment with me? And remember, I'm a 7, okay? If a 7 made an appointment with me and they said, hey, Dr. Tom, I'm a 7. And last year I had 7 vacations I went on, and I spent half of my salary on adventures. I bought a 4-wheeler, I bought a jet ski, I bought an airplane. Don't know how to fly it yet, but I'm learning. It's going to be great when I eventually can fly. I went backpacking through the Rocky Mountains. I went skydiving over the desert. I went hot air ballooning. Okay, imagine a 7 doing all the things that 7s are impulsed to do. I spent the other half of my salary at casinos. Man, it was so much fun. Horse tracks and blackjack tables and wine, women, and song. Okay, imagine a 7 showing up to an appointment like that. And then saying, all right, Dr. Tom, how can this Enneagram thing help me do twice as much of that this year as I did last year? I want to do 14 vacations this year. 14! Now, can you see that that would be ridiculous? Like, that guy is so stuck in his impulses that he can't see that the things that he seems that feel right to him, that they might be a little too much. Maybe they're ruining his life. How is he relating to his family with all these vacations, with all this time off, with all this adventure? Is he leaving anybody out that he might be so motivated and accomplishing all these fun, exciting things? How can I double this? I want this Enneagram thing that you talk about to show me how to get even more fun and more excitement and more adventure. And I don't care about the people I'm leaving behind. I don't care about what needs to be done. I just want adventure, adventure, adventure. How can this Enneagram thing help me have 5 times more adventure this year than I had last year? You see, the Enneagram doesn't work that way. It challenges your impulses and compulsions and says, you know, this stuff that you're feeling driven to do, you should recognize that you're being driven by a personality right now. What if you, behind the personality, what if you woke up a little bit and said, you know, maybe I've kind of let myself get out of control here. I mean, if I think about my stated goals, am I really impulsed and compelled to do the things that are going to accomplish those goals? Maybe I should push back a little bit on all these impulses and compulsions. Maybe they're ruining my life. Even though I'm surrounded by all of the rewards, am I a hollow Easter bunny with a smile on my face and a carrot? And then the eye falls off, and the other eye falls off. Ah, so good. Okay, now I got water. That hot chocolate had kind of that sucralose taste. Ugh. I'm a 7. I don't want fake fun. I want real sugar. Okay, so here's the type 3 checklist. You excel at reading a room. Your radar. These people would appreciate someone who looks intelligent. So I'm going to be intelligent. These people look like they would appreciate somebody that would be hilarious. So I'm going to be hilarious. These people look like they would appreciate somebody who's very powerful, very strong. So I'm going to present myself as very powerful and very strong. You automatically tune into the people around you so that you know how to tailor yourself and present yourself in a way that will impress them. And you probably do all of this unconsciously. You don't even think about it. You're surprised that the rest of us aren't doing this. You're surprised when you're in that meeting and that 7 over there says something ridiculous like, oh my goodness, he just made a fool out of himself. Doesn't he know what people are thinking about him? He doesn't care. He's not tuned into what you're tuned into, okay? He's not tuned into it. He's not picking up, like, this is the person I need to be. It doesn't matter to that 7 or that 8, for example, what they need to be in order to impress others, because they're not trying to impress others because they're not struggling with their worth and value. They don't need their worth and value reinforced to them externally by an audience. And that's why you might think, oh my goodness, they're being so foolish. Okay, you like setting goals and doing what it takes. You're probably, what, an INTJ or an ENTJ? Doing what it takes to get the results you want. And you can easily map a path, a strategic path to get from here to there. And let's start setting goals and let's start pushing ourselves and let's start training. And your family's saying, why can't we just ride bikes? We just started out riding bikes. We're just riding bikes. We're just playing tennis as a family. Why does this have to become some strategic way to prove our strength and value and worth? Why do we have to push ourselves to become tennis pros or to become bicycle champions? Why can't we just enjoy? Look, one of my stated goals is I want to connect more deeply with my family. So I'm going to ride bikes. And then you start riding bikes and it suddenly turns into pushing yourself to accomplish all that you can be as a bicyclist. And then you get some certificate, it's probably hanging up behind you, of some bicycle marathon or whatever that you accomplished. And your family's over there like, he did it again. He left us out to prove his worth and value. Wow. Ow. Oh, we're trying to love you, okay? Listen, we're trying to love you. The people in your life are trying to love you. We're trying. Help us. Help us love you. You want people to see you as a competent and successful person. 1s, 3s, and 5s are all in that competency group. You want to be seen, known as. There is a great thought for you as a 3. There's a difference between being something and being known as something. Which one's more important to you? Being great or being known as great? Being happy or being known as happy? Being a loving wife or being known to be a loving wife? Which one's more important? Which one makes you happier in life? To be awesome, to be a great manager, or to be thought of as awesome, a great manager? You want people to see you. I'm going to circle that. See you as competent and successful. Why not just be competent and successful? There's the one, for example, the one is watching you, shaking their head. Why do you need people to see you as competent and successful? Just do your job. Just do your job. Remember, the sin of the one is anger, right? Or maybe an 8. An 8 might perceive you as being fake, as being false in some way. 8s are truth and justice warriors, and they're going to maybe see through this mask you're wearing. And you're gonna come across maybe as a little bit phony to them. And 6s as well. I want you to hear that statement again. You want people to see you as competent and successful. I want you to realize that a lot of other people want to be competent and successful. Period. They want to be successful. Period. And they may not care so much if they are perceived as being competent. Think of that neighbor who lives in a normal neighborhood, lives in a normal house, and has $1 million in the bank. They drive an old Ford pickup truck, and they got $1 million in the bank. They live in an old house filled with old furniture they've had for 30 years, and they have $1 million in the bank. They wear their clothes they bought from Walmart. They carry the same pocket knife they've carried for 30 years, and they have $1 million in the bank. They don't need anyone to know or see that they are successful. To them, it's just enough for them to know. You want people to see you, so the labels, become very important. You feel, and you can put labels on yourself. Manager, doctor, lawyer, supervisor. It's not just labels on clothing, but it can be labels on yourself. Your public persona, because you do whatever it takes to work hard and deliver. Without even trying, you see what you need to do to appear successful in the different contexts of your life. To appear successful. To appear to be a good father. to appear to be a good husband, to appear to be a committed church member, to appear to be is not the same thing as actually being. Wow. You have an easy time accomplishing tasks you enjoy, being productive and getting things done. Great. What's the hard part? It's difficult to slow down or to stop doing. What would happen if I slowed down? What would happen if I wasn't performing? What would happen? I would just dissolve and disintegrate into nothingness. I would have no value or no worth. The struggle is real. The struggle is real. Although you may not consciously try, you can effectively shift the way you appear to present the right image for every situation. And people are going to applaud this. So it's hard to not do it. It's hard to push against this. Like, what would happen if you just decided one time, I'm going to make myself look foolish. I'm going to make myself look stupid. I'm going to make myself get a pie in the face. Could you do that? You avoid failure at all costs. If you think you may fail at something, you don't even try to do it. But, you know, the reality is, like, think Thomas Edison, somebody who fails at, what, 100 different light bulbs or 1,000, who remembers? I think one time when my little daughter, Olivia, when she was a child, and she said, I hate science. Who even cares about George Washington? So, you know, whatever. You know the illustration, right? Thomas Edison, how many different light bulb trials did they have before they found something that works? If you can't handle failure, or it can't be perceived as being a failure, then it's going to really limit what you are actually able to do in life. While you value your relationships, you know what's coming, right? You value your relationships. They sometimes take a back seat to your work because you naturally focus on, well, she says, tasks that need to be done. But I would say you naturally focus on the tasks that will help you get what you are wanting in life, which is a sense of worth and value. But remember, all those people that want to relate to you, they're trying to love you. Maybe that's what life is more really about. What if that's what life is really about? What if life is really about who you love and who loves you back? What if this other stuff is not really what life's about? What if you're sacrificing the love for others and the time to love others and the energy it takes to love others and receiving real love from others? What if you're sacrificing the best to accomplish the good? Why do you need people to think so well of you? Why do you need that? Now, being not a worth type myself, it's easy for me to ask that question. But it might not be very easy for you to sit and really think about it. But I think it's good to sit and think about it. Like, if I could free myself to some degree, maybe not completely, but if I could free myself, at least at times, from needing this from other people so desperately, or needing this sense of who I am, being a wonderful, accomplishing, successful person. If I could free myself from that just a little bit, it might create a little bit of room, a little bit of air to breathe, a little bit of space for me to ask some other questions, like, what do I really want in life? Like, how are my relationships going? How is the content of my soul? How is my soul doing? What people can't see. My inner life, my depth. And what am I doing? I had a 3 just a couple of weeks ago during the holiday season text me. And she said, the holidays are driving me nuts because work is closed and my house is already spotless and I don't know what to do with myself. Which sounds like heaven for 9s. I mean, that's probably exactly where 9s would want to be. But she was going dark. And my advice to her was set some relaxation goals. Set some relaxation goals. Like, I'm going to go 5 hours without thinking about work. There's a goal. I'm going to force myself to take my kids out for a walk and just look at flowers and, just enjoy the scenery. I'm going to force myself. Like, I'm giving myself permission that I don't have to accomplish these tasks. I need to accomplish relationships. I need to accomplish relaxation. There's other things in life that are important that can't be quantified so easily. Although you can be very emotional on the inside, you unconsciously avoid expressing your emotions because your focus is on performing and on maintaining that performance. The last thing she says in this little section is that if you're going to embark on the journey of growth, real deep growth as a 3, you have to start to see the ways you subtly shift yourself to fit in these different environments you find yourself in. You've got to catch yourself wanting to be viewed by these people as being more competent, wanting to be viewed as being admirable or successful. Then you have to catch how you tend to take the attention away from what you really want in life to becoming what they want you to be in life. To know yourself better, to explore your own ego patterns, how you get your eyes off of what you want in life to becoming what you think they want you to be in life, and acknowledging the feelings to know yourself and what you really want in life. Okay, wow, we did that under an hour. I didn't know if we were going to be able to get that done in under an hour, but we did. Okay. As always, be present to life. There's a lot more to life than maybe what you've gotten focused on. Trying to challenge yourself to push against these impulses, to slow down and just be a person. Who would you be if you weren't doing all that you're doing to become what you're becoming? Who are you now that you think you know who you are? The goal of knowing this stuff about personalities is not so that we can become the best 3 I can be, but so that we can learn to set aside 3-ness a little bit. And who would I be if I wasn't so driven to all the things I'm driven to accomplish in life? Okay, I'm exhausted. And you probably are too. Thank you guys. Blessings. I'll see you next time.